For decades, the leather industry has been a flagship export sector. But today, there is a widening gap between its raw potential and its actual performance on the global stage. We have to look at the entire journey, from the raw hides at the workbench to the cargo ships delivering the final product. The friction usually happens at the very end of the production cycle. You can spend 20 hours carefully assembling a leather project, only to lose the buyer in the final 5 minutes because the edges turned rough or because the product photography failed to capture the quality of the work. This report highlights a specific structural challenge. The data shows that survival in this market relies on producing value-added finished goods rather than exporting raw materials. So we are going to look at the practical steps needed to elevate a product to that standard. We will focus on achieving 2 specific outcomes. First, executing a flawless physical finish on the leather itself. Second, creating an e-commerce ready photograph that clearly communicates that quality to an international buyer. The core issue isn't a lack of raw resources. As this analysis shows, the primary obstacle is execution weakness. A failure to refine small details at the workbench directly results in lost export value. Step 1 starts before you even touch a piece of leather. It takes exactly 10 seconds to run your blade across a stropping block, but it is a step you have to take every single time. A dull edge drags and tears the densely packed collagen fibers of the leather. A properly stropped blade glides through the hide smoothly, yielding clean cuts and sharp corners without distorting the material. That level of physical precision is required if you want to compete. Look at this export breakdown. Over a nearly 20-year span, finished value-added products remained highly resilient, staying consistently above $600 million in export value. You wouldn't cut sushi by pressing straight down with a butter knife. You slice. Applying that same slicing motion to your leather corners prevents the edges from mushrooming out, keeping the structural lines tight. The industry loses a massive amount of revenue to poor material handling. Using razor-sharp tools ensures you aren't adding to those raw material losses through sloppy workbench mistakes. Now that the cut is clean, we move to the edge. Achieving a professional finish requires what we call smart burnishing. This means using fine grit sandpaper between every single pass of your wood slicker. If you skip the sandpaper and only apply friction, the edge will gloss over, but it will be uneven and bumpy. You end up with a shiny mess rather than a polished surface. The biological anatomy of the hide explains why this happens. The lower corium layer consists of loose, jagged collagen fibers. The sanding action physically breaks and flattens these fibers down, creating a dense, uniform base, so the next layer of friction can actually polish the edge. By flattening the fibers first, the final slicking pass produces a smooth edge with glass-like reflectivity. This specific tactile detail signals premium quality to global buyers. This emphasis on meticulous finishing aligns with the broader evolution of the trade. If we examine the historical flow of the industry, there is a steady progression towards higher quality, sustainability, and precise manufacturing standards. Global markets demand high production values. These refined finishing techniques are necessary to meet the strict EU and OECD compliance standards required to operate internationally. Once the physical product is perfect, we have to photograph it. Top grain leather is naturally smooth and highly reflective. If you point a light directly at it, the glare will completely wash out the texture. To control the reflection, we use a 2-strobe lighting rig. The main light goes on the right side, angled downwards from the top. This top-down direction limits direct glare from bouncing back into the lens. Then, we place a second fill light on the opposite side to balance out the harsh shadows and reveal the natural shape of the piece. Next, we configure the camera. For this type of product photography, we set the shutter speed to 1/125th of a second, keep the ISO low at 200, and set the aperture to f11. A wide aperture like f2.8 will blur the edges of the product. By tightening the aperture to f11, we ensure every detail of the leather grain stays in razor-sharp focus from front to back. These technical adjustments in the studio directly support market expansion. Presenting high-resolution, texture-rich imagery is exactly how you build trust with buyers in premium international regions. This chart shows a steep drop in overall market share by 2025. Overcoming this decline requires strong digital presentation. professional photography is the bridge that turns a well-crafted physical item into a successful high-value export. The entire process requires discipline at every stage. Applying precision at the workbench with careful stropping and sanding makes it possible to capture that exact same precision in the studio with the right lighting and camera settings. These are small, deliberate habits, but they add up to the structural reform this sector needs. Correcting execution weaknesses is how manufacturers move past stagnation and build resilient businesses. This document maps out that exact transition. The long-term goal is to shift from treating hides as an informal, seasonal byproduct to operating a fully formal, documented value chain. When the physical craft and the digital presentation align, you get a product that can stand up against any competitor globally. It is ready for the cart and ready for shipping. Apply these techniques to your own workflow. Put in the extra 10 seconds at the bench and take the time to dial in your studio lighting. That is how you build a competitive, value-driven brand. Ultimately, economic resilience isn't guaranteed just because you have abundant raw materials. It is earned through the flawless execution of these exact details.